Hey guys, here is a video real quick to show another way we could use smart vectors here inside of Nuke to kind of cover our butts, but also do some pretty cool and interesting stuff. So nested inside of Nuke is the motion channels here. So if I come down here to the other layers, you'll see that we actually have motion channels that actually already here that we can actually utilize. And we have a way to actually get smart vectors into the motion channels. But before we do that, let me actually show you this project here. So this is the raw render out of Houdini. And you can see that I actually do have motion vectors. I chose to not use the pyro motion vectors here though. And you'll see why. I actually ran into an issue with them. And they look good, but when I put them in, I was losing a little bit of artistic control on them, and I really wanted a little bit more control coming out of Karma. So we rendered in Karma, and if in the final here, this is not the final, actually, let's go here. The final here, as you can see, we have quite a bit of motion blur I've added in underneath the grain that I've re-added. I actually denoised this, even though it was a CG render, and then I brought in grain. For that final render. And you can see we have motion blur. Now, the particles, I chose to still use those motion vectors, and you can see some of the issues that we ran into, even with the Cryptomatte into them. However, they're not as evident in the final, and I ended up just leaving them. You don't notice those rotational blurs here, which actually are native into the Karma render. I actually selected it. And in the end, it actually added a little bit of flair to this that I liked right here. Almost kind of looks like heat distortion played back in real time. And that's an important point. Make sure once you are laying in your effects, you watch back your effects in real time. And you'll know I actually have issues here with my pyro. There's unfortunately not able to be fixed in comp, but I do have issues with the pyro. But to get the motion blur here, I had to do a little bit of an interesting effect. So like I said, this is the raw render, and then here is with the motion blur added, right? So I have the vector blur and the motion blur. And let's talk a little bit about how I did that. So we'll come on all the way up here, and I actually only put the volume, only put the smart vectors on the volume here. So here is my volume pass. And you can see we have a cutout down here. We have a little bit of the sky left because I actually rendered with the volumetric render, and that is included. I use Cryptomatte to separate and grade those separately. So to kind of show that, here is, let me delete that for right now. Here is the ungraded volume render that I got out. And of course, my reference is very dark, so I needed to make sure. And I also wanted it to be dark so that my nice little lava particles would glow. So what we did here is I just ran a smart vector. So if you're not familiar with smart vectors, smart vector is the ability to bake out vector-based information as it studies. It is essentially low-level machine learning at this point. And you'll get these channels here. So if I look at right here, you'll get these channels here. And I have these smart vectors for motion. We have forward and we have backwards in U space. So this is the normal U. These are the position U channels, right? So that's what we are getting out of Nuke. And basically what you have to do, and if you click on this and come down, you can actually hit export right. So if you open up the smart vector and hit export right here, it'll actually create the right node for you. And it's already set for the settings that Nuke likes to use. So if you're not familiar with how EXRs work, it'll definitely be worth your while at some point in your career to take a deep dive into how EXRs work, because there are different compressions and different methods of compression here that all have their own uses. For this particular project, since this is data pass, I actually kept this down to 16-bit half and went to zip. You could get more refined information at 32-bit. I just didn't want to waste the disk space, and I was also planning on doing this over our 200 frames, where I only did 140, but I want to do 200 frames. But basically, you're just going to write out your EXR. And you don't forget the expression here is %04D. That is 4 frame padding, basically. And then the %D is the render out the frames here in EXR. And then I just read the EXR back in. You could use the write as the read node, but I just read the EXR back in, and there you go. I have my EXR data. Okay. Now, there's this node here that some students are curious about when they're trying to figure out how to do motion blur, which is the vector to motion node. And you'll notice there's nothing here. There's actually absolutely nothing to be done here parameter-wise. And that's because it's just a straight conversion node that comes in with Houdini, and it is designed to work with vector-based information. Now, in this case, we're taking the smart vectors, but just so you know, there are ways to use this node off of other vectors to do some really interesting like motion design effects. But in this case, we want the motion. Okay, so if I come over here and go to the VectorToMotion, you'll see that now that motion channel pops up. And what's really cool is it gives us a forward U, forward V. It gives me a backward U and a backward V channel here. All of these channels are very useful to be used for the purposes that that we're going to use them for, which is motion blur. And you can see I'm copying those in, forward U to forward U, forward V to forward V. We're just literally copying those back into my main pipe. Now, over here, you'll notice I have a couple of things that I did here, and I just created two noise patterns, one for the U-axis and then one here for the V-axis, right? So U-axis and then V-axis, U being red, V being green. And I just wanted to add a little bit of noise. It just adds a little bit of breakup here into the AOVs. And it's just, honestly, this was a stylistic approach for me. I didn't want clean motion blur, which is what I was getting out of the vector blur. The vector blur coming from the motion vectors pass. And it was actually getting quite annoying. And so what actually drew me to do the smart vector method was this purpose here. And so I'm just copying those channels. As you see, I'm on the main pipe now. I'm just copying those into the motion channel now. If I come down here, I have the vector blur. If we come on up, you go to the RGBA and you can see the vector blur comes in, and I'm just using the motion channels and it knows which way to go. I could offset the UVs, we can manipulate them. Any masking is going to be handled in any of the channels that I already currently have. So if I only wanted to do the volume, for instance, I could have masked it down here to my volume channel. But I chose not to. I actually ended up using this, and you can see it actually adds a little bit of blur across the board. That's very useful at the comp level. I like the effect that it gave me. And I went really aggressive on this one because I really wanted to sell the magnitude of this eruption for this volcanic eruption here. So I went really high. You typically do not need to go this high. That is a stylistic approach here. But experiment with this. See what it gives you. And just, as we can see again, here is the before, right? And here is the after with the motion blur baked in. We get this nice looking volume here. Or the nice looking pyro here that I can put in. And as you can see, one of the cool things about the motion, the vector blur node here, if I come all the way up here, one of the cool things about the vector blur node, whoa, you could do it on the RGBA, and what that will give you is the ability to blur your mats as well too. I wouldn't do that too often. As you can see in this case, that's probably why I chose not to. I had this nice background that's already blended in at this state, and I actually had the alpha in later. So, but again, the vector blur, if you're not familiar with how this node works, and I'll finish this video with that for you guys, I just use the scanline render preset since I use the vector blur, but you can always use the ones that you use. Unfortunately, Karma is not here. I found PR Man to do pretty good with Karma. Every now and then you'll see I'll do Arnold. But I end up just using the Nuke scanline render because it knows to do U forward and V forward. And these are some of the settings that I did. And again, if we can lower it a little bit, we can, fall off the motion. We can also change how the shutter works. And there you go. You can see that that noise pattern that I created is really coming into effect. It has just that nice raw look to it. So anyways, fun little workaround for motion blur here. And honestly, this actually does also work off non-CG. Let's say you have live action and you want to actually motion blur live action. This would work as well too for those effects. So let me know what you guys think. If you guys like this, use it in your next project. Maybe I'll do this in a more in-depth and richer demo in the future. So yeah.